Welcome to Love Yourself So Matcha,
the podcast where we get up close and personal with mental health issues.
In each episode, you will learn more about eating disorders, body image, self-love, and appreciating yourself.
I'm Cindy.
And I'm Lily.
And we hope that you will join us on our journey to loving ourselves so matcha.
Hello everyone, thank you for tuning into episode 3 of the Love Yourself So Matcha podcast.
For today's episode, we are starting a new series, Conversations Over Chamomile, where we basically have late night rants about whatever we want to talk about and drink chamomile tea.
We're going to be visiting some of our experiences in high school and discussing how those experiences influence body image and eating disorders.
Yeah, so I think one of the first topics that we want to talk about is kind of body image and weight gain tied to stress, because high school is definitely a very stressful period. Actually, I know that like the freshman 15 generally applies to like university freshmen, but if we didn't have COVID this year, I was supposed to go to this high school program where we basically stay on a university campus for the last 2 years of high school. And I remember like hearing like you need to avoid like freshman 15 or be aware of that. And that was just something that was kind of triggering or like worrisome, I guess, when I was preparing to go to the program. But obviously that didn't happen because COVID, or it hasn't happened yet. I feel like a lot of not just high schoolers, but also like university students struggle with dealing with the freshman 15. I think that'd be an interesting topic to talk about. I don't know. Have you ever heard of the freshman 15, Lily?
Yeah, I've heard of it, especially for college students. I haven't heard of it too much for high school students, although I personally think I relate to a sophomore 15 or a sophomore. I honestly think it's mostly just stress. Like so much stress from school, extracurriculars, keeping up with the grades, but not getting enough sleep because you're trying to maintain all of your activities. And that sort of leads to late night stacking for me. That's the worst. It's just late night stacking because I mean, you're up at 2 a.m. and you have nothing else to do, and you're trying to procrastinate homework. So the best thing to do is pull up YouTube and get some snacks, and then you're up again at like 6 a.m. And I think in order to function that early, you have to be able to eat as well. So yeah, sort of that scary cycle, and which contributes to body dysmorphia eventually.
Yeah, I totally agree. I feel like people should avoid using the freshman 15 or using that kind of phrase because it's definitely like an added factor, especially for people who have a history with struggling with their body image. Can you imagine like going into college already like stressed about the workload, and you're in a completely new environment and you have to make new friends and adapt to this new environment, but at the same time people around you are telling you like you're going to get the freshman 15, like you have to avoid it as much as possible, and that's just an added stress college career. But I definitely think that this isn't limited to college. I feel like a lot of high schoolers probably experience the same thing. I remember before I was going into junior year, whether or not I was going into my like program where we stay on a university campus, people were like, junior year is super stressful, like you're going to gain weight. And that's just an added stress that I feel like shouldn't be necessary.
Yeah, I honestly feel like it's more difficult for high schoolers because depending on, obviously everyone's different, but depending on your genetics or your environment, a lot of kids are actually going through puberty around 14 or 15. Some kids don't. Some kids have it a little bit earlier or maybe even later. I mean, that's more rare, but I think 14 around freshman year, 13 or 14 is the average time for somebody to go through those changes. Especially for girls, it's much more likely to develop an eating disorder during that time. I know I got mine around that time as well because your body's changing and you're not used to it. And a lot of those changes are attributed with weight gain. It's sort of just a biological side effect of puberty, which then sort of leads to those body dysmorphia thoughts. Like if you pair that with the stress from high school, so stress eating plus puberty plus whatever else is happening in your life. It's a lot. It ends up adding up to be a lot.
I feel like it's definitely a lot of added stress when people already might have like they might not be already the most confident with themselves, and just that added pressure. I feel like it's important to like normalize any kind of body type or shape. There shouldn't be so much pressure put onto like the weight gain side of academic stress, because there's already so much stress tied to like high school academics, and having that extra stress related to weight gain is not the best. It takes a huge toll on anyone's mental health in high school. During quarantine, people were talking about like the quarantine 15. Is that what they called it? But yeah, just these kinds of phrases I feel like are just unnecessary added stress.
Yeah, actually, that's such a good point because when you have these sort of stereotypes, I would say, of different people, you kind of have it in the back of your mind. It sort of just nags. I mean, even if the weight gain does happen, which I think is completely fine, it's just a part of life. It's not that big of a deal. You still feel sort of self-conscious because when people label you as somebody who has sort of fallen into the trap of the freshman 15 or the quarantine 15, whatever. I will say that quarantine weight is real, bro. Quarantine weight is real. And it's totally fine. I mean, the life is so weird right now. I think we just have to realize that it's just a normal process. It shouldn't have a specific name. It shouldn't be called anything special. It's just life. You just go through these different changes, but it's not a big deal.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like calling it something special or like giving it a name is definitely really triggering for some people and not good.
Yeah, for sure. So this like concept of a label, I think also relates to what we were going to talk about next, which was social media, especially with those standards that people have for, I guess, body standards that people have are especially prominent on social media. And that sort of like is related to that label that people have for either freshman 15, quarantine 15 is we always have these certain standards that we have to meet. I don't know. Any thoughts on social media right now?
So many thoughts about social media. I don't know. I feel like social media is just a place to destroy your mental health, whether that be your body image or just like mental health as a whole. Personally, I am not a fan of Instagram, even though I am very addicted to Instagram. But I feel like there's a period of time where Instagram definitely took a huge toll on my mental health. But what we don't realize is that on Instagram, people post the best versions of themselves, especially when it's a photo. Like on TikTok, you're posting a video, so there's not much that you can like manipulate. But when it comes to like Instagram, like people can use various photo editing tools, Photoshop, and they can pose in various angles. And people are always going to post the best versions of themselves on Instagram. When you see that, when you see people posting the best versions of yourselves and you're in quarantine, like wearing your sweats, not looking the best, and you look at yourself in the mirror, it definitely takes a huge toll on your mental health. Yeah, I feel like social media is definitely, especially Instagram, like you can easily fall into the trap of like comparing yourself to others, not only like influencers, but also like your peers or like the people around you. So it's not cute.
Yeah, I agree. You know, it's like so difficult. Instagram is a really great platform for people to showcase their accomplishments and I guess feel good about themselves. And it's also such a great place to spread information, whether, I mean, sometimes it's bad and sometimes it's good. It started a lot of movements that are for really great causes. But at the same time, like just for personal use, it's so difficult not to compare yourself to other people. Even if you're the most confident person in the world, which I am not, I'm not the most confident person in the world, but even if you're relatively confident, when you see other people, I think at least you still subconsciously compare yourself to that person. It's very difficult not to fall into that cycle of becoming obsessive over how you match up to someone else. And when you feel like you're not doing great or you're not on the same level as other people in your demographic, you feel like really bad about yourself. And especially like what you said earlier about people posting the best versions of themselves on Instagram. That's completely true. Nobody's going to showcase themselves as, really, really bad or want other people to see them at their worst. But you know exactly what's going on and you know yourself at the worst. So if you're comparing your worst to other people's best, it becomes so toxic.
Yeah, I totally agree. Instagram is definitely a really great place to spread important information because it's probably one of the most popular social media platforms right now, and a lot of Gen Z use Instagram. I definitely have learned a lot from Instagram, but at the same time, I agree like it can definitely become obsessive. I remember when I had my eating disorder, like your explore page knows you so well. Like they tailor the posts on there made for you. So I had a lot of like fitness posts at the time, like Fitspo, different like healthy food recipes and stuff like that. I felt like that just kept on like feeding my eating disorder. Kind of like advice I have for people be who might feel like Instagram's taking a toll on their mental health or becoming a little bit obsessive and they feel worse and worse about themselves the more they log into Instagram. I think something that really helped me is that I deleted Instagram for a couple weeks. I decided to come back just because I wanted to stay in touch with some of my friends that only use Instagram to communicate and also to stay updated with the important information that's often spread on Instagram. But what I did is that I created a new Instagram account with just following a couple of my close friends instead of the hundreds of followers that I followed or like hundreds of people I followed before. And I feel like that was definitely really helpful. I was just following the people that posted things that made me happy or posted things that were informational rather than like following people that made me feel worse about myself or content that made me uncomfortable. And I think that was definitely really helpful.
Yeah, that's such a smart thing to do. Dude, that thing of what you said about having your explore page be completely Fitspo, yo, during my eating disorder, everything was food. So I would follow like BuzzFeed Tasty, Tastemade, every single food account that I came across, and as well as like calorie tracking accounts or fitness influencers. It became so obsessive. Everything on my page was just related to either nutrition, fitness, or food in some sort of way. So I think during that time, I didn't even care about other people's accomplishments. I just cared about like how I looked compared to other people. Like whether I was, I guess, skinny enough for my crazy standards. Just like my standards were completely off from what normal people should think like. Obviously because it's a mental disorder, so you're not thinking straight. But that was a very obsessive time and honestly really scary. Actually, like now that I've recovered, everything food or calorie related has become spam. So I've just unfollowed all of them. So it's my Instagram's really clean now. And it's weird actually coming out of an eating disorder. I feel less I still feel self-conscious about myself, but I don't compare myself to other people as much. I think I've finally sort of broken the first step to that barrier where I mean, I still do, but it's obviously not as bad as it was back then. And so I'm a little bit better on Instagram. And plus, I guess I don't really well, okay, I've been on Instagram for a very long time, so it kind of gets boring after a while. And so I kind of just resorted to using the explore page as entertainment, and me and one of my friends will just send memes. Like that's pretty much it. And I think when you find that relationship with social media where it's used to stay up to date with news and communicate with your friends rather than stalking your friends or comparing yourself to other people, it becomes a lot better for your mental health.
Totally agree. I feel like my entire explore page had such a like transformation once I got the new Instagram account. I think that like my explore page now is literally just um streamers, the Amigops memes, or like Avatar the Last Airbender memes, or like outfit kind of posts. Actually about the outfit posts, accounts that usually post like those like trendy like outfit ideas, I'm admiring how they are very inclusive about like different body types. Like usually when you're like scrolling through the thread, they have like these kinds of outfits on like various kinds of body types, which is something that I'm very appreciative of. But yeah, that's basically my explore page has had entire transformation, and it's definitely been a much better environment now.
Yeah, that's super cool. I don't really follow the outfit. I don't really have the outfit accounts on my explore page, so I didn't know they were that inclusive because at least before, from the ones I've seen, they're not that inclusive, but it's really great that they are being more inclusive now. My explore page has turned from entirely food to entirely K-pop. It's literally entirely K-pop. It's K-pop, and then my reels are the viral ones. Like I love spending time on reels because it's so funny. It's like it's basically, TikTok, but it's so hilarious. And me and my friend will send reels back and forth occasionally just because they crack us up. It's so funny. And it's very entertaining. Although I will say Instagram is horrible for like scheduling and time management because I get really addicted to it and I spend too much time on my explore page. Same with TikTok sometimes. Although I think I spend more time on Instagram than TikTok. I don't know why. Maybe I'm used to Instagram more. But yeah, it's just K-pop and funny memes now basically. Also love the Amigops. Is that what they're I don't know how to pronounce it. Yeah, I love the Amigops, but they're not on my explore page. They're Amigops have taken over my Twitter. I don't use Twitter that much. I use Twitter to stay up to news with like people I like, but my entire Twitter is like Amigops and skating.
Me too. Oh my, I love Twitter, but I don't really use it.
Same.
I feel like Twitter is a much more kind environment than Instagram because on Twitter you're mainly just posting your thoughts, but rather than like pictures, I feel like it's much harder to compare yourself to thoughts, you know?
Oh yeah. Okay, I will say though that even though Twitter I think is better for our mental health, Twitter's like pretty toxic, not gonna lie. I haven't come across anything, but Twitter cancel culture
That's
is
true.
crazy. Is so bad. But at least the people I follow are really great. It's just I feel like every single person has gotten canceled off of Twitter, basically. I don't know. I'm glad that we're both not on the toxic side of Twitter, but Twitter can be pretty bad as
I think
well.
it like depends for like I feel like for influencers, like it's so easy for them to get canceled on Twitter, so maybe like Twitter's not the best environment for them. But for like high schoolers who are like all the people I follow on Twitter, just my close friends, I'm just like, using Twitter to keep up with my favorite streamers. Kind of like the environment, the kind of situation or relationship that us high schoolers have with Twitter versus like influencers, um, has like a different like effect on mental health, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. Honestly, I think Twitter's more used for is more used for influencers to give updates rather than actual people. It's hard to go viral on Twitter, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
Yeah, it's more for like people to follow up with the people they like. Although I will say Twitter's kind of funny sometimes. Twitter, like the creative people, they're kind of funny. I don't know. I enjoy Twitter because it's a great way to stay up with news. For somebody with a low attention span, I think it's such a good way to read something quickly because the text is pretty big. There's not that much text involved in general. If you're on the right side of Twitter, most people are super supportive, especially with the streamer. Because I think we're probably both on like streamer Twitter, right? Like with like Twitch Twitter. I love the interaction between all the streamers, and they're super supportive, commenting on each other's Twitter posts, and that's my favorite part of Twitter. I love the community feel of retweeting, threading, commenting, and liking, and how you can see other people's likes. It's so great, that part of Twitter. But I will say that I think we just both haven't experienced toxic Twitter yet. Because I know they say that Twitter is sometimes the most toxic environment out of all the social media platforms.
That's true. That's true. Maybe it's just like the community that you surround yourself in. With
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And with TikTok, I know we've like, I guess we're just discussing the different social media platforms now, but for TikTok, TikTok is like, it's such an interesting dynamic. I honestly really like TikTok sometimes. It's hard to create things. It takes a long time to be a TikTok creator because
Yeah.
the videos take quite a long time to make. But overall, it's such a funny environment. At least my TikTok is just humor and investment videos. Like they're either like they have to do with money, like financial literacy, or the rest of them are just comedy. It's so funny sometimes to see people being creative on TikTok. The creative side of TikTok is really hilarious to me.
But I wanted to say like TikTok is like the video version of Twitter. I think it like largely depends on like the kind of community that you're on or like the kind of side of TikTok that you're on. I haven't been on TikTok in like 6 months. I didn't delete it because it was affecting my mental health. I deleted it because I just didn't have time. I was too addicted to TikTok. I was spending like 24 hours a week on TikTok, and that was probably not healthy. So yeah, but I definitely think that TikTok it depends on like what you kind of see on TikTok. Because I remember when I had TikTok, my entire For You page was like college admissions advice, how to score well on your SAT. I didn't want to see those videos, but they kept on giving it to me. They probably were like, you really need the advice, so I'll give it to you. But I also was on like alt TikTok over the summer. Like I got some really strange TikToks, like dancing tomato TikToks. But I know like there are also some very like triggering TikToks, especially like some very triggering body image TikToks. Yeah, so I definitely think it's like the community or what TikTok gives you on your For You page.
Yeah, definitely. I know the eating disorder TikToks can be really triggering, and I mean, I think we might discuss that in a future episode even further. But I social media is dangerous. It depends on what side of social media you end up on. For me, I haven't seen a single eating disorder TikTok, which I think I'm really fortunate to not have seen that, especially because when TikTok started getting popular, I was still technically in my eating disorder. So that would have been kind of dangerous if I fell into that loop again. But I was lucky enough not to be there. And right now, I don't know, my TikTok's so random. And then occasionally you'll see like, the one with like the one TikTok that TikTok posted, and it's like, stop scrolling. You've been scrolling for way too long now. Go get some water, some food. And then I just scroll past it. I'm like, no, thank you. I'm gonna keep scrolling. And then I spend several hours on it. Um,
Wait, they do
it's
that now? They have
yeah, yeah, it's so funny because like everyone ignores it. Like TikTok actually, like they have an account and they posted it. It was like, stop scrolling. You've been scrolling for way too long now. Here's some water. Go get some water, some food. Give your eyes a rest or something like that. And then they tell you like they remind you to take breaks, and nobody takes them. No, everyone's just like, no, thank you. In the comments, it's so hilarious. And I do the same thing. But okay, I don't know if this is true for anyone else. For me, like with TikTok, I don't go on it voluntarily. It's not like Instagram where I check it every hour or whatever. It's just so addicting. With TikTok, I go on it like every what at most once a week or something like that. But once I go on it, I spend several hours on it. But I don't like always voluntarily go on it. It's so weird. I guess it's maybe because I don't really know what I'm gonna see, so I don't have an incentive to check on TikTok. Whereas like Twitter or Instagram, I'm like checking for news. So I guess maybe that's why. But TikTok, once you're on it, it's like kind of addicting.
Yeah, yeah. I think that like maybe I just my addiction was too bad to TikTok. But I feel like I didn't know that they gave you warnings when you scroll to I didn't know that they did that. That's so interesting.
It's not really warnings, it's like reminder TikToks. And I think they're kind of cute, but nobody listens to them. And the comments are so hilarious because everyone's just like, no, don't tell me what to do. I'm going to keep scrolling on TikTok no matter what TikTok says. And yeah, I find it kind of interesting. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, maybe they added that after I left TikTok because I don't remember seeing those.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like TikTok might be losing hype. I thought it was. I guess it's not. It's still okay, like Musically, where it was really popular for several years and then it just died out and then TikTok bought it and then I think with these types of platforms like Musically, Vine, Dub Smash, those types of platforms, they always die out at some point. And I find TikTok to be such a fun platform to be on, but it's so difficult to create on it. Like you can, but it's very difficult to create good TikToks. You have to spend so much time, and most people don't have that much time. So maybe that's why. But I mean, it's still fun to be on at the moment sometimes. So we'll see what happens. Like I have a theory that maybe it'll die out at some point, but who knows? Maybe TikTok has something up their sleeve that'll make them different or something.
Yeah, I definitely see like it's all those like, platforms that like have those like short 15-second videos that end up like dying out.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, like from my perspective, since I haven't been on TikTok in so long, like in my eyes, I like don't really think about TikTok that often anymore. But like for other people, like TikTok is probably still their like basically their life. So I guess I'll see. Um, but I think something that's important within high school, I feel like something that becomes really toxic is college admissions decisions, especially on social media. You know, when you get in, like some people will post about it. I feel like there's various aspects of high school that is not very nice when it's put on social media, like college admission. Um, Various kinds of like sports competitions as well. Social media can become a really competitive environment, and when it comes to like high school kind of related things, it can make the competition much worse.
Yeah. Okay, along the lines of college admissions things, do you ever watch college decision videos on YouTube?
Oh my gosh, I fell down like a dark hole over the summer, like watching those videos.
Same thing with social media. So, LinkedIn's not really a I guess, social media platform for kids, but LinkedIn,
It's
yo,
so toxic. It's so toxic.
I think LinkedIn is great for connecting with people and seeing people's accomplishments. And it's so amazing to see how accomplished some people are.
Yeah.
You start comparing yourself to their portfolio, and it's oh god, LinkedIn is scary sometimes.
I feel like it's so easy to compare yourself to people on LinkedIn because thinking about data, right? Instagram is qualitative data, you're basically just observing it. But on LinkedIn, you have numbers, quantitative data, right? Like you can compare your GPA to other people, you can compare your SAT score to other people, different kinds of competitions or awards. Sometimes when it's in numbers, it can be much worse than when it's pictures. So yeah, I feel like obviously LinkedIn's definitely a really great place to connect with people, praise people's accomplishments, but at the same time, like it's so easy to compare yourself to other people.
Honestly, I think LinkedIn might be a better platform when we're older and we're trying to meet really great people because it's always wonderful to build your network with people who you can learn from, basically. But for, I guess, high school, when everyone's super competitive and we're all trying to achieve the same things, it's a very scary place.
If anyone's listening and they're in high school right now, please do not watch college decision reaction videos and just don't do it. My self-confidence as a whole took like a huge hit over the summer. I was like, I don't have these things. Like, I need to start like grinding my volunteer hours. I need to, get a perfect score on my SAT. I need to do all of this. There's so many regrets that I have that I didn't do this in freshman year or stuff like that. And I feel like that's super unnecessary. Like, now looking back at that time, it's so unnecessary to put that kind of stress on yourself, because in the end a lot of college admissions depends on luck. Not it's not, there's no one secret formula that gets you into college. So I just feel like those videos become really toxic, but definitely congrats to the people that gets their dream schools. They definitely deserve it. If you're someone that tends to like compare yourself to others, definitely like don't watch those videos.
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, like college dis college acceptances are almost like a lottery.
I agree. Yeah.
Like this year, you know how so many people deferred from last year, and I think they deferred to this year, right? So colleges are being extra hard, either because some people didn't apply last year because of coronavirus, or they applied, they got in, and they're deferring to this year. Overall, like this year's just become really hard. College acceptances, first of all, I think they're like a lottery, and second of all, I don't really think they define your worth, because
I agree.
your college name, I guess, can help you in terms of connecting with alumni or looking good from a superficial perspective, but they don't really define your abilities. And I mean, a lot of like the top entrepreneurs, they didn't go to that great of a college. Like, obviously, Bill Gates went to Harvard, or Mark Zuckerberg went to Harvard, or at least got accepted by Harvard. They both dropped out. Elon Musk also went to like a very good college. Can't remember exactly what, but not every single entrepreneur has to go to an Ivy League to be successful. And actually, the majority of them don't. Obviously, it's great to get into a good school, but I think it's good to have a mentality of it's just a bonus. It's not end all be all. Getting into a good college does not ensure you have a great future, and not getting into a good college does not ensure you won't have a great future. So it's really about the work ethic, the mentality, and the attitude that you approach with everyday life. And I know I'm like saying this, but honestly, I need to work on this mindset myself. Like, like it's so difficult when everyone around you is getting into really great colleges and you just feel the pressure to at least match up to them.
Yeah, especially since I'm like ending off my junior year. Next semester is college app season, which is very intimidating. But I think something important to remember is that we're applying for our undergrad, and that's not the end of our academic experience. We can still pursue graduate degrees or like PhDs, master's degrees. If I don't get into like my dream school, everything will still be fine. I told myself this every day that everything in the end will still be fine, and that it's important to recognize that. And there's still like several chances to still get into your dream school for a master's program or your PhD.
Yeah. I think we can also touch a little bit on along the lines of social media, sort of toxic friends, like in person, not only on social media, but like in person as well. I think certain people, not necessarily friends, they're also very competitive. And those people, if I think there's certain different types of people. There's friends who will push you down to make themselves feel better. And those people are usually relatively insecure to a certain degree. And then there's also people who will not brag about their accomplishments, but like list them out and make you feel bad in that way. So there's kids at my school who will literally be like, because my school's pretty hard. So if you get an A minus on a big assignment, it's really good, right? And so we had this beginning of the year diagnostic test for a writing class, and the average for the class is like a C. The average is a C for that assignment specifically, and it's really notorious in our school for known for being really hard. And this one kid was talking to my friend, and he was basically like, "Oh my god, I did so bad. I got a 91." Just like, I mean, those types of people in school are kind of very toxic for your mental health, especially with imposter syndrome.
I agree. Do you guys have rank at your school or
I don't think so. I don't think we have rank.
yeah. I don't know if people in high school really affected my body image maybe I think that was more like social media, but definitely like my mental health took a huge toll when I went to high school. Um my first 2 years of high school, I went to a public high school and we had rank, which is the most like the easiest way to like compare yourself to other people and create a toxic environment. There's definitely like really different kinds of people in high school, especially like when there's rank involved. In middle school, I had a pretty like large friend group, I guess. In high school, that friend group just kept on getting smaller just because people have different kinds of motives when it comes to high school. I feel like some people in my grade, they kind of use you. They become toxic in the fact that like they just cheat their way into like a good rank or they try to use you to get a good rank. Some people purposely try to hurt you and there's just like these different kinds of people. Some people like you would help them, but then they'll be unwilling to help you back. And I think that when it comes to high school, it's really important to find your like real friends, like people who are willing to support you and people who are still willing to help you and people who aren't willing to push you down just to get like a higher rank. But now that I'm in a different high school, like it's so much better. Like people here are so supportive. I literally hate high school rank so much. But people here are so supportive. Like there's literally like communities of people here just to help you. I remember like when I first started doing research and going into research competitions, I was really nervous to ask people for help. But I vividly remember like one of the competitions directors for our research organization telling me like I was apologizing. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry for like making you like help me with this and like taking time so much time out of your day. And he was, no, like this is what I'm here for. Like I'm here to support you and I'm here to help you. That's just so different from my old high school where people were just so competitive against each other and like willing to push each other down. I don't like high school rank.
Yeah, that's such a great environment to be like not high school rank, but like your new environment where everyone's super supportive. I think in my school, it's really difficult to find people like that. And I've had trouble developing a good network at my school just because I have like a couple close friends who are really great. And we, talk a lot and we chat a lot. It's always like so fun to talk to them. But aside from like those few people, everyone else just I don't know. I don't get good vibes. The thing is, like, I pick my friends based on the vibes they bring out, or like, I don't know if it sounds pretentious, but I'm really scared of being betrayed or used because I've had experiences of that in skating. This is very, like, skating is a very deep sort of the waters are very deep in skating. So, you learn a lot about people and the realities of life and how people interact in life with skating. Same thing with school. I think in school, a lot of the people who pretend to be nice, at least for me, it's really obvious that it's fake. And I can't hide my feelings because I'm like an Aries. Like I'm such an Aries. Like I couldn't be fake if I wanted to be fake. So I don't like it when I interact with people who are, and it bothers me. They try to push you down to bring themselves up, or they're extremely competitive. It's very toxic.
What's your class size? Is it like big?
It's difficult to know actually because our individual class sizes are pretty small. They range from like around single digits, maybe like 6 to max 15, 16. But the in terms of how many people are in my grade, I actually have no idea because I can't really tell if people are part-time or full-time. Yeah, I can't really tell if they're part-time or full-time.
Oh, interesting. I have like about like 185 people in my current class.
Oh, I think that's definitely more than we have. We probably only have like max like I don't know, 80, 90 people. I'm guessing around that number, but I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely think something that I've learned a lot in high school is human nature or like human behavior. Prior to high school, I was really naive. I always thought like everyone was a. I always thought that people would think the same way that I did. I didn't think that people would try to use you or try to bring you down. I thought that everyone would be supportive of each other, but that's obviously not how it is. I know that you brought up ice skating, but like I feel like sometimes in the dance studio, like when you get too involved with dance, a similar thing happens. There's a lot of drama that you probably don't know of until you get a little too involved. In the end, like you don't need to be friends with everyone in your high school. As long as you have a supportive group, people that make you happy, I feel like that's what's most important because there's in life there's always going to be people who want to use you or like people who are the antagonist in the story. There's always going to be people who aren't necessarily compatible with you, but as long as you have that supportive group of friends that make you happy, I feel like that's what's important.
Yeah, I agree. And I find that sometimes it's better to find people outside of a competitive environment. So maybe in extracurriculars or outside of school. Those are maybe the places to find the best friends.
Yeah.
Because it's very difficult to keep a relationship that's not competitive when you're in such a competitive environment. And that goes for sports, like you mentioned, like dance or with skating. You're basically competing all the time. Like if you're attending competitions, there's literally ranks. Like it's probably even worse for you in your school where there's ranks because you're literally they're telling you who's better than who and you're always competing. It's difficult to keep a relationship in that competitive of an environment without feeling competitive against each other. So, I mean, in terms of that, like I guess it's sometimes better to build your network outside of those environments and start looking for people who you think will actually be good friends, who make you happy because you're just a good personality fit for each other rather than actually trying to find people in a community where everyone is trying to push each other down. Yeah.
So, I hope this episode was helpful to all of our high school listeners or people that are currently going through any kind of educational program. So, we talked about a lot of topics. We talked about kind of weight gain or dealing with that kind of societal pressure, avoiding weight gain during stress. And we also talked about body image related to puberty. We also focused a lot about social media, not limited to like body image, but mental health as a whole, especially on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and even YouTube. Finally, we talked about kind of the in person environment in high school and kind of like dealing with toxic friends. So we really hope you learned something from listening to our conversation or slash rant today.
Yep, as always, make sure to reach out to people if you're feeling overwhelmed. High school is definitely a tough time if you can't tell from our rant tonight, but make sure to find your community, learn to find people you trust, develop a group of homies that you can really lean on, and it'll all be okay. I'm sure we'll all get through it. We're all going through this together. And, sometimes it's okay to struggle. I think it's important to understand that everyone's struggling in some way or another. Thanks again for listening, and watch out for more episodes of Conversations Over Chamomile, our new series. Thank you so much for listening.
I hope everyone loves themselves so macho more after this episode.
Stay tuned for our next episode. Updates will be posted on our Instagram and Facebook. Both handles are @LoveYourselfSoMacha.
Also, make sure to check out our website, which will be linked in our bios.
Bye!